dia, Portugal.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Tudo bem? Como estás? It's a bon dia, Portugal from João de Nor up there in Ponte Lima this morning. John, I think we need a video of you bellowing that from your rooftop, or at least an audio of you doing that, or anyone who wants to share that with me. I will play that out on the Good Morning Portugal show. 913-590-303, the number for that on WhatsApp, and any other correspondence that you wish to share with me in the form of pictures and videos. Otherwise, you can just chat in the comments, as people have started to do already on this Feel Good Friday morning, the 1st of March. Yakida to you in Wales, where you're celebrating, I believe, St. David's Day, flailing around with daffodils like Morrissey and his irises or gladioli or whatever it was he had hanging out of his back pocket when he was performing with the Smiths on Top of the Pops back in the day. Anyone else remember that, or was it just me? And the rest of you are like, what? Okay, good morning to you. We're going into the weekend. Bon fin de semana. We've got Savvy Cat Ana Caramujo joining us at 9:30. We'll see how Anna's doing and what's going on in the real estate market and how it's going with her helping people move to Portugal. And before then, Siobhan from Quinta Salir de Porto, just up the road from me, across the other side of the Bay Area, the Silver Coast Bay Area. We'll find out what's been going on with Siobhan. Always loads going on at Quinta Salir. She's, of course, in a different capacity, our print-on-demand person who makes our mugs for us as well. So really pleased to have made that connection before Christmas of last year. And CO Print, SIO, our print-on-demand partner. And, of course, Quinta Salir de Porto. If you're coming to this area, well worth a visit up there. You'll see Siobhan a little bit later on, and she'll tell you more about Quinta over there in Salir de Porto if you don't already know about it. Coach Turner was in at 7:40. How you doing, Coach? Good to see you there. And thank you for that lovely quote you sent me last night, which I think you're going to be... Yeah, you've got that on the screen there this morning as well. Fantastic. And T-Duck, possibly recovering from having his vacuum filled. I think that might be the case this morning, but we've got the material. So maybe, T-Duck will be back soon, but has already sent in some fabulous material. Feliz Sexta-feira, Bon dia, Alegria Gumpers, says T-Duck on this, the 1st of March. Already this year is barreling past us, is it not? Certainly feels like that to me. But James has explained that, hasn't he? That it's something to do with aging, apparently. So happy St. David's, happy 1st of March to you. Pinch punch, 1st of the month. And let us know if you're celebrating that, if you have a Welsh connection. Jackie does, you see. Jackie the Humble Crafter. Dydd Gwyl Hapus. Happy St. David's Day. Have I got that right? Dydd Gwyl. Dwi Hapus. I went into some Portuguese there, I think. Happy St. David's Day anyway. Get your Narcissi out. Bon dia, watching with Dan. It's his birthday today. Is that Bevan, Dan? Good morning to you. How's it going? Happy birthday to you, Dan. Lovely to hear from you. Excellent. And Coach at 7:40 this morning. Bon dia, Gumpers. E feliz sexta-feira. Thanks for all your tips so far this week. Let's see what you're sharing with us today, Coach. A quiet day today. Wow. I'm still recovering from the cold I caught from the mini germ factories, but I'll manage coffee first, of course. Well done. Keep your pecker up, my old mucker. And a Japanese saying I liked: if you feel like you're losing everything, I don't know quite what this pertains to. Was it the conversation we were having yesterday with rapid changes and imminent dynamic changes possibly in society? If you feel like you're losing everything, or is it just because you've got a cold, coach? If you feel like you're losing everything, remember, trees lose their leaves every year, yet they still stand tall and wait for better days to come. Hooah! So there you go. Be like a tree. So that's generally good advice, isn't it? Being like a tree. Love trees. Absolutely love trees. Never met anyone who doesn't like trees. Apart from those Leylandii. Always an exception that proves the rule. God squad tip of the day. Then last thought on this week, looking at balance. And you know what? After all that talk of balance, this week, I fell over yesterday. I don't know if I programmed myself with all this talk of balance. But coming back from walking the dogs, the rain began, slight spitting in the air. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just get a bit of a jog on. I'll fartlek it home. And so I picked up the pace, but didn't pick up my feet high enough. Hit an upturned curbstone. I'm not going to sue them. It's not America. And fell over. Now, luckily, Jimmy was in front of me, and I put my hand down. He saved my life. Jimmy Chew. He broke my fall. And I went down on the pavement and just typically vain, like I think most human beings are in that situation. My first thought was like, I hope nobody saw that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Somebody who live streams every morning, you would think, I hope everybody saw that. But it was like an instant shame response, much quicker than whether I'd hurt myself or not. And just a nice little scuff on the palm of my right hand. Left-hand side, I think I got a little bit of scrape on my jeans and a little bit of a scuff on my hand, like I'm used to seeing on the knees of my children and my own knees as a child. I had one of those on my no blood to speak to that I was aware of, and I did check. I thought I better roll up my trouser leg later on in the day, see if there's a massive bloody scab under there that I didn't discover earlier on. But no, rolled very nicely. So in a way, the bad news was I had a trip and fell over. The good news was I think I'm quite flexible. And I'm glad I've got a dog as well who broke my fall. He's a good lad. He got an extra bit of cheese yesterday for that. And so I felt quite good, although I'd felt quite bad about tripping over. It's like there is a psychological thing, isn't there? I think it's quite dangerous territory. I mean, it is a fact. We're all getting older, like everyone is from the day they're born, right? And then the older you get, the more old you can feel, and a greater sense of getting old idea. And I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of that confirmation bias, self-judgment as like, oh, it's only to be expected. I'm getting old. I think that's a dangerous territory. I think it should be, it's about balance again, isn't it? It's about balance of like, yeah, there is a fact that I am aging and getting older and I will be an old man inevitably. Well, hopefully, God willing. But not to hasten it with like, oh, it's typical. Old age never comes alone, does it? All those looking for evidence. I think that's quite a way of hastening the process and quite a dismal view on things. Anyway, last thought on this week, looking at balance. If you've mastered the single leg squats, I don't think I can call my trip over a single leg squat yesterday. Then you should start working on your core. The core muscles are what connect the upper part of your body to your legs. So it's important for balance. There are loads of different exercises for the core. Planks are great. Who doesn't like a plank first thing in the morning? Planks are great. Pilates also. Try some out, see what works best for you, and then do it regularly 2 to 3 times per week. So go planking, everybody. And João de Nort asked about training for fast twitch muscles yesterday. So we'll look at that next week. Have a great and active weekend. So that's not just a João de Nort thing, fast twitching. That's a known commodity, is it, within fitness circles? Fast twitch. Are those the reaction muscles? Tell us more, or I guess we can hold that until next week when we come back again on Monday with more from Coach Tenor. So thanks again for another week of insight and advice and suggestions, serving suggestions for physical fitness for the bon viveurs who are growing old disgracefully. Cheers, Coach Dan. Have a great weekend. And let's have a look at some of, I forgot yesterday. However, I did post the leap year related dad jokes across social media and over at the Portugal Club, which were appreciated, T-Duck. I hope you're getting to hear that. Good morning, Coach, from T-Duck. Oh, what's that? Good morning, Coach. Is that a processionary caterpillar that I've just eaten? Tastes like it. It doesn't work. It feels like it. Hold on. Let me have a sip of water. Portuguese water, which by Monday evening will have miraculously turned into Portuguese wine. Tell you more about what we're drinking on Monday evening. Good morning, Coach, says T-Duck. I'm not a workout enthusiast, but I'm pretty good at lifting other people's spirits. That's so true. Fabulous. Okay, and I'll get these over to the chat as well so that you can see them too. They're a little bit of a mystery this morning. Deep thought then. A really great person. We're staying with GK Chesterton. Deep thought. A really great person is the person who makes every person feel great. I didn't quite get that right, but you got the gist. A really great person is the person who makes every person feel great. Maybe I did read it like that. But that's wonderful, isn't it, from G.K. Chesterton, who was a columnist for the Daily News, the Illustrated London News, and his own paper, G.K.'s Weekly. He also wrote for the Encyclopedia Britannica, including the entry on Charles Dickens. And who doesn't like an entry on Charles Dickens, or a Charles Dickens entry? Who doesn't like a Dickens entry first thing in the morning? Got there in the end, did we not? And that information that I've just shared with you going into the chat there, we've got dad jokes and we've got lies we tell our kids. Let me give you a little bit of a sample of those. That's a feature that we've missed. One of the lies we tell our kids: the microwave will explode if you put your face too close. Not to mention your face as well. Do you remember those stories when microwaves first came out, of chefs who stood with their back to a microwave and ended up microwaving their kidneys? I hope that's an urban or a culinary myth and was never true. I'm not a big fan of the microwave myself. I tend to use the microwave when we go to Mercadonald's. Mercadona have got a great cafe, certainly in Caldas de Rainha, and it's nice to be able to microwave some of the pasta dishes that they do and either sit in their picnic area, which is what I tell the kids it is. It's just the cafe area near the coffee machine in Mercadonald's, as we call it, or take that stuff and go and eat it in the park. Fantastic. Thank you, Mercadona. All right. Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz Sexta a todos, as we anticipate the arrival of Siobhan this morning at around 9 and at around 9:30. Savvy Cat Ana Caramujo. Bon dia, Gumper, said James at 7:50. Feliz Sexta a todos. Come on, Val. As coisas. We'll see him on Monday for more of this mindfulness malarkey. Mindful moment this morning. Any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not giving the kiss the attention it deserves. Yes, Albert Einstein. He also had something to say about that, didn't he, Hank? About the difference, how time works, relativity of time. Sitting next to a pretty girl. Him and pretty girls, honestly. Sitting next to a pretty girl or waiting for a dentist. There's relativity right there on the timeline for humanity. Mindful dad joke then. When giving a present, thank you for these, James. Remember, it's the thought that counts. Unless it's a meditation teacher you're giving the present to. In that case, it's the thought that doesn't count. Thank you very much for that. And a couple of visuals from you as well. The first of which is the monk who claims he looks like a young lady there. I guess it's funny that, isn't it? Sometimes when Asian androgynous looking people shave their heads, they can make... strangely enough, by balding a male, they can look more female. What's that about? He saw a face of Jesus in his margarine tub. I think some of you know what's going to happen next. And he said, he or she, the monk said, I can't believe it's not Buddha. The face of Jesus in the margarine tub. Very good. Thank you very much for that, James. And it's a shame nothing is built in the USA anymore. I just bought a TV and it said built-in antenna. I don't even know where that is. Not a mindful joke there. I think a little bit of a joke at the expense of those nationalists, patriots who want things built in their own country. Built-in antenna. I don't even know where that is. Excellent stuff. Thank you, James. Yeah, and I mentioned wine briefly, didn't I? Oh, here's a little cartoon for you. Silver Coast, our home. And Steve posted this up there. John Rooney, I think, brought it to my attention. Morning, John. Living in Portugal, this fella sat in his house talking to somebody on the phone. I'm in the middle of a local wine tasting tour, and he has several bottles of wine opened around the house there. Very local, front room, in fact. And this is what similar to what we'll be doing on Monday. I think we're getting close to 100 wines that we've tasted now. I haven't been keeping count, so it's just been steadily changing on the graphic here from 50 to 60 to 70. But I'm pretty sure we're up to or close to 100. And I was writing about the wine club yesterday for the Portugal Resident. So that'll be coming out next week. By that time, we will have tasted something interesting, unusual, or funny, as in it has a funny name like Liqueur de Merda that you see on the screen there, and from any region. So grab something that's got an interesting, unusual, or funny name from any region and join us on Monday at 8 o'clock. And sample it and tell us all about it. Liqueur de Merda. I imagine the top notes of Liqueur de Merda, you probably need to give it 5 minutes after opening the bottle there, I would have thought. So join us, please, if you will, for some fun on Monday evening with the GMP Wine Ninjas. And really, I mean, part of what I was writing about was just generally in Portugal, people aren't snooty, I don't think, about wine tasting. It's a very relaxed, calm, down-to-earth country. In fact, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, that's what I've called it. The editor may change it, but it's down-to-earth drinking. Whether it be, one of those 80-cent glasses of cafe wine or 80 euros for a bottle, I don't think people are pretentious in Portugal. There is not a Portuguese pretentiousness, to alliterate a little for you there. People are very down to earth, thankfully, when it comes to, most aspects of life, let's face it. Superb. And whilst we're on the matter of food, there was a food tasting that went on in VRSA, also involving a little bit of wine. I've not seen that stylized. I've seen Malcata, but I've not seen Malacca there. Now, is that a reference to the Portuguese exploration of the Malaccan Straits of Malacca and Malacca near Malaysia there? I wonder. I think wine was being imbibed, drunk, partaken of. Thanks to Anna for these. This is a cookery class, I believe. Now, where's your message that you sent me, Anna? Sweden, Portugal. Bon dia. We had a lovely cooking class here in VRSA, arranged by an amazing local lady. I thought, what's she doing in my kitchen? That looks like my kitchen. It's a very Portuguese kitchen, isn't it? With the white tiled splashback and that color of timber, madeira, on the kitchen cabinets there. And it looks very Portuguese. We don't have a table in our kitchen, so I was disabused of that idea. And I've got some close-ups of the cooking process here. What is that there? Is that slices of pork on? That looks like maybe that was the pork alentejano with pork and clams there. That looks beautiful. So looking out over the VRSA marina and sitting down to eat the lovely things that have been cooked there. And like those are, I think, would they be rissoles de bacalhau there? Deep frying in the pan. Oh, stop it, Anna. Every time I do this, every time I show food on the screen and then realize how hungry I am. And there's a lovely, what is that? A piece of fish, I think, there on the screen. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more. Thank you for those. And a superb stuff. And a highlight, actually, Andy. I've sent Andy a message. I've not had his highlights, although he's been busy, hasn't he? He was telling us about how they were presenting the Quinta to estate agents this week, so he may be a little bit busy. I forgot to share this with you earlier on this week. Free entry to the Santo André Floating Ship Museum in Aveiro. We missed the opening there, I think, on February the 27th. I think, generally speaking, it's free. Is that right? But it's certainly one to put into the diary or on your what to do in Portugal list, the ever-growing list that everybody has. Well, I must do that in Portugal. On the way to Aveiro's fabulous, Barra Beach there. And they have a restaurant nearby as well, the Smokehouse Barbecue, the best burgers this side of the Atlantic. Don't take my word, try it for yourselves, and you won't be disappointed. A great place to have a good feed up before you go to a nearby beach. This is Costa Nova, Barra district, where you see the candy-striped houses, residences over there in Aveiro. Great place to have a good feed up before you go to the nearby beach to sun in the summer or walk in the winter. Fantastic. So there you go, the Smokehouse Barbecue. You can find both of those, the Smokehouse Barbecue and the Santo Andre Floating Ship Museum, in a photo on the Gumper map on our website, goodmorningportugal.com, everybody. Goodmorningportugal.com. Right. Have you been over there recently? I do post news. I post what I feel is appropriate and useful news on the homepage too. If you have any news stories about Portugal that we're not seeing in the usual places, like the Portugal News and the Portugal Resident, do send them to me, and I'll make sure they get shared with everybody else as well. Okay, so see you Monday, perhaps, for something interesting, unusual, or with a funny name from any region for the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club on Monday. Let's get back to your comments in the chat this morning on this Feel Good Friday. A fall, apparently, referring to my trip yesterday on Leap Day. I took it literally. A fall just means you're one step closer to the licking window in the GMP retirement home. See, this is the sort of talk I do not approve of. You'll be hitting kids at bus stops with a stick and deliberately walking slowly in front of people soon. Stop it, Peter. I do not intend to partake in any of that. A GMP retirement home, I do like the sound of that. I think as much as it's been a joke to suggest such a thing, sorry, I've just sent a little fruit fly into the next realm. Yeah, as much as that was a joke when it was first mentioned, a Gumper's retirement home, I think that the idea of shared living in older age has got legs, somewhat arthritic legs, so some wags might say, but I think there's something there in that idea. And thank you very much, James, for your contributions, and to you, Anna. Bondia enjoyed an amazing cooking class. We just showed the pictures, and that was it with Ana Cabrita, Anna the goat. Sounds like what they do in Wales, doesn't it? Jackie the crafter, Doug the builder, and Ana Cabrita bought all ingredients in the local market, cooked and enjoyed a lovely lunch. That's a lovely thing to do, and that was a piece of tuna there. Conquilhas, cod cakes, and local wine. Fantastic. Yummy. Absolutely. Right there. Thank you for those pictures, Anna. They were sent to 913-590-303. Quite a hard frost this morning. A tad more than was expected, but great news from Fundal. Look at this. Mariana and Joe had a baby bot. I think they probably had a baby boy, but you never know these days, do you? A baby boy at 13 minutes past midnight yesterday. So a leap baby. By the time he's 10, he'll actually be 40 then, only. Joe will be 70. That's amazing. He was pretty pleased about the lack of present buying until he realized he had to bake 4 cakes every 4 years. That's amazing. Congratulations to the to Casa Marsh and all the lovely marshes over there in Fundale. That's lovely news. Please pass on our best, will you, Pete, when you next speak to them, and send our love from the Gumpers here. A bon dia from those to those Gumpers from Jackie the Humble Crafter. And yeah, I think a brave attempt at Happy St. David's Day. I'll try it one more time. You've got to put a bit of into that whenever you speak Welsh. Great attempt. Thank you very much. Dan Taylor, not Bevan Dan. Of course, it's Dan Taylor's birthday. I can't tell when you come in on an FU like that, a Facebook user. This is Sarah, not Bev. Happy birthday, parabéns, dear friend Dan. What are you guys up to today? Please put us on the list if we don't see you this weekend. Well, let's make that happen. Let's have a drink to celebrate Dan Taylor's birthday. Happy birthday, mate. Parabéns, you have to say. My routine since the 1st of January, coffee on wake up, 1 piece of toast, jam, coffee, milk at noon, nothing else till dinner at 6 o'clock. That's amazing. Because you're a big fella, Joao, and I suspect with a big appetite if necessary. But that's quite the routine since the beginning of the year. Coffee waking up and a piece of toast with jam, more coffee, and a glass of milk at noon. Sounds like a cowboy movie, doesn't it? Yes. Get off your horse and drink some milk at noon. Nothing else till dinner. I don't even know where that phrase came from. Get off your horse and drink some milk. Does that mean anything to anybody? Or is it just one of those weird things that came from America and ended up in the UK? And only UK people know about it. And when you talk to people, like the Salisbury steak thing in Canadians, it's like, what are you talking about? Bon dia. That's a phrase that's often heard, isn't it, in this environment? Bon dia from Sarah. Good morning to you. And Algarve, Laura Puntin is here. Bon dia, Gruppo from... she doesn't really talk like that, but I just thought I'd say that on behalf of Laura there. A fall means... No, I'm not reading that again. Rage against the dying of the light. Yes, let's shake our fist. Appropriate on Dwi Sant. Have I pronounced that correctly? Of course, a Welsh connection there. And wasn't it amazing? Who's that actor? Is it Michael Sheen who read Rage Against the Dying of the Light? Shake your fist, boyo, at age when it's coming down the pipeline. That's not exactly what Dylan Thomas wrote, but if you're Welsh, it must be very difficult not to drift into a bit of what's he called? Richard Burton or Michael Sheen when you're talking. You walk into a pub and you say, "Barman, please, 2 pints of ale for me and my comrade here." It's hard to resist, isn't it? Bon dia, Gumpers, from Michael Barton. And fast twitch muscles are the first to go as we age. Ah, okay. I thought that was the mind. The fast twitching of the mind relaxes a little bit, doesn't it? As we age, practice falling instead. He's not joking. Practicing falling is essential. Yeah, that's what I was doing. If we wish to experience less damage, like broken bones, for instance, imagine that, falling down on purpose to learn how to fall correctly. Should we extend that as well to maybe, I don't know, cutting our finger whilst cooking so that we can go through the process so that we know what to do should it happen for real? Punch ourselves in the face as well to learn how to deal with surprises. Ow! I get the gist, but I would be so embarrassed, James, if I were to have to go into the emergency room and have to explain, okay, so how did this happen? Well, I was practicing falling over and I think I might have broken 3 ribs. You go steady with that, take it easy, and if it hurts, stop it. Bon dia from Pam. Good morning, Pam. And if I shut a cupboard door, I have done my fitness routine for the day. Well, that could be true. Depends how big the cupboard door is. If it's like one of those Italian monastery doors, then yes. But come on, Jackie. Do two. How about that? How about just raising the bar a little bit? As long as I don't need a higher bar stool, said T-Duck to me yesterday when I was talking about raising the bar. How about you do, or why don't you do a lap of honor? Run around the whole kitchen, opening and closing cupboard doors. Come on, Jackie, you can do this. You've got this. Good morning, Coach. Oh, I'm not a workout enthusiast. Oh, that was me. I was wondering where that came from, seeing a picture of myself and Mrs. M, who was on fine form, I think you'll agree, yesterday. Oh, let's go back to T-Duck's missive then, from the information from T-Duck that's come in on 913-590-303. Oh, we did GK Chesterton, and we did a lovely quote from him and his Bondi and his Feliz Sexta-feira, put in the sex and Sexta-feira. Let me give you another lies we tell our kids then. We can get arrested if the light is on inside the car. Now, I was telling I do tell my kids that. It's not true, is it? And we began a conversation. I looked at Mrs. M and I said, I don't know if that's actually true. And in Portugal, is it true? Will we get stopped by the police if a light is on? Is there any truth in that at all? Please, can we ask seriously for a moment, if that is true? The second visual was just a visual dad joke. Thank you. I realize that now. I just imagine everything that is uttered from you and is issued from you is mindful in some way, James. It can be received, obviously, in a mindful way. We need to learn how to not use our hands to catch our fall, but to tuck our arms and roll. Tuck and roll, tuck and roll, says the training squad of old people jogging down the street and going into a roll to practice falling over. Quite amazing. You were lucky. Tony had a fall last week and ended up in hospital. What? For 30 hours and 5 teeth down. Well, I did see a picture of you, and I saw that Tony had a bit of a scratch on his hooter, so to speak, which means something different in England, you Americans who are laughing at the back. But that sounds terrible. 30 hours in hospital and 5 teeth down. Yeah, Jimmy Chew was fine. He was shocked, but he was fine. We were all a little bit shocked. But you know what dogs are like? They just get over it, don't they, and crack on with life. And that's what I tried to do as well. But it did shake me. It surprised me a little bit, and I'm really sorry to hear that. So send Tony our love from the Gumper community, if you will, as well. I've got a black tea going cold here. I hope Siobhan turns up soon. Let's have a look. Is everyone okay with their links and so on? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that cartoon there. I shall share that in honor of Dan's birthday today. And Michael Sheen, do not go gently. Do not go gentle into that good night. He can't. He must talk like that all the time. Must really get on his family's nerves. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, I see. T-Duck is telling me that he posted this content onto the YouTube channel last night. Sometimes, did I ban you? No, I didn't know. I think sometimes early posts do get wiped for some reason, but I've got it. I'm all over it, T-Duck. And they will be posted. We will definitely do the dad jokes and reiterate the lies we tell our kids. But that's all for Tony. Send him our love, if you will. Liqueur de merde. Merde is pretty good, or good shit, as one might say. Yes, you might here in Portugal. People use that word quite willy-nilly, don't they? And that's what we're not necessarily trying that on Monday, but I would like to hear what people think of that, as Pete has just offered to us with a little bit of a review. What does it taste like, Pete? What is it? Is it like an aguardent? Is it a little bit fiery? That pork does look a little drier than the movie Dune. It was in preparation, Pete. Slices of tuna with sweet potatoes and veggies in the casserole. Anna is holding one of the tuna fillets in the picture there. Deagle's in, morning, mate. Excuse me, just 1 minute. Good use of the cough button there. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpus from a nippy Belfast at 3 degrees. The snow expected did not make an appearance. A few inches in Enniskillen. Who doesn't like a few inches in Enniskillen? First thing in the morning, just dull grey in the capital there. Nope. Milk at noon. Never. No, I was thinking more, get off your horse and drink some milk. It was John Wayne, wasn't it? It was the big milk fan, I think. Ottimo mês de marzo para todos. Thank you very much, Tia Filomena, who's wishing us the best of all Marches this morning. 1st of March, of course, pinch punch, 1st of the month. Do we do that in Portugal? And no returns. Bon dia todos from Antonio F. If it's the 1st of March, that must mean it's not too far away from the 1st of April. Not that I'm trying to hasten time any more quickly than we seem to be experiencing it. But 1st of April, can't wait. I will, but I'm looking forward to that. Good morning. It looks like all of my posts from this morning disappeared. You've definitely not been banned, as you can see there, T-Duck. Good to have you on the screen. Bon dia, James. It's not a cowboy hat, James, this week. Who are from Antonio F. I wonder what his name is going to be next week. What's this? 95... 26 February 24, mindful language. Did he mean to send that message to somebody else? I think possibly there. Wouldn't that be funny when people send messages that are intended for somebody else? Like that picture that I sent to the doc I hope, well, he didn't even mention it. I thought he might at least say something about it, but that picture, that interpretation of Mary that seemed to be on my clipboard and got inadvertently sent to the doc, didn't even raise an eyebrow. But I think he's seen some sights in his time as an ex-GP. Doctor, can you have a look at this? Must I? Yes. And never borrow his pen. Bon dia, Lady Filomena from Antonio F. Bon dia, Lord Antonio. Look at this, how the Portuguese people are addressing each other this morning and learning how to fall, like with the help of someone like Ian or martial arts classes. I know, I just ran with that. Hold on a minute. I remember this bloke. Good morning, Carlito. I once saw a huge scratch on a hooter. I still think about it. Yes, playing with the various meanings of hooter around the world. Hooters in England are noses. Proboscis? Okay. Happy memories, hey Frank. Good morning to you. When are you coming back on this screen? Jump on now if you want and say hi. I had the horrible experience of witnessing my 82-year-old mother fall forward onto the asphalt and land on her face. Oh, that's awful, isn't it? Horrible thought there. Amazingly, she was not seriously hurt, but it was truly horrifying, and I felt so helpless. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it, to see our parents or our children fall over. Gives you the willies, which, again, probably means something different in America. Thanks. It was last week, and he's already on the mend, is Tony. Just got some major dental work ahead of him. Lost 5 teeth in that. Went down on his cake hole. That's awful. Yes, definitely send our love to Tony. Apparently... SL Benfica football soccer. Thank you for that translation of soccer there, of football to soccer for Americans. They scored their 10,000th goal in their 120-year history. Too bad they lost the match. That's bittersweet, isn't it? 10,000 goals then Benfica have clocked up as of yesterday. That's amazing in their 120-year history. And I was talking to Daniel last night, about voting in Portugal. We're only 9 days away from the general election, which will happen next Sunday, the 10th of March. I've got to send a message. I just got you're a little bit of a sing-song this morning. I've just got to get a message to you. Oh, I'm singing and talking about sending her a message, and she has just appeared now, which is wonderful. So we'll go to Siobhan in just a minute, who is at a location I do not recognize. I wonder if she's even in Portugal this morning. She's spoken to us from the UK previously, hasn't she? So I wonder what's going on there. No, I don't recognize it. Still don't recognize it. Okay, we have celebrated the 10,000th goal. Unless we're sporting fans, of course, we're probably gnarling and gnashing at the sound of that. Let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring her onto the screen. To the bay. Are you going for a little walk in the neighborhood there, Siobhan?
I'm going to sit by the water fountain in the sunshine. So I am in Portugal. I'm in Salir. What do you mean you don't? Look.
Oh, I recognize it now.
Carl.
A few clouds in the sky. Oh, and we're up near the fountain there. Now, who was that who had relatives who knew Salir de Porto? I think we took a photo there to take back to the United States to show people Salir de Porto from where their ancestors came. Looking nice and quiet in the village this morning, Siobhan. How is it?
Yeah, it's quiet, but everyone's starting. In Salir, nobody starts too early, so everyone's just starting to come out of their houses to have their morning coffee.
It's a lovely.
I've been awake for hours already, of course, Carl, as you know.
What, mucking out, planting a few vegetables. What have you been up to?
No, I have a meeting this morning. Well, I'm preparing for my big trip, so last minute stuff. I leave on Sunday.
Wow. You're going to tell us about this. Now, you're not just trying to wind me up, because I was telling everybody how I fell over yesterday. I had a big trip yesterday. It started and ended down the bottom of my street. Not the kind of big trip that you're going on. Tell us about that. This was great news that you shared with me a few days ago.
Yeah, basically the association, we're part of Erasmus Plus, which is a European program. Basically, you have to look it up, Erasmus Plus. And I was invited or asked to represent Portugal in the next leadership. So it's basically for outdoor leaders in Romania with Outward Bound. If anyone knows about Outward Bound, incredible program for youth. So it's Outward Bound Romania. So I head out there for 7 days of training and 3 days of expedition in the snow, sleeping up in the mountains, hiking to the top of the mountains and surviving for 3 days. So I left my snowy Canada to be recruited to go back to the snow. So that's where I'm heading to. So I do feel like I'm a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing it, Carl, and that's for me where I want everyone to spread the word is my mission is to raise awareness for teens, especially youth, and the good the outdoors does for them, and mental awareness for their mental health. Because we've had, as you know, we work with a lot of teens for the last few years. We've had a lot of teens go through our programs. And we've also had a lot of teens that have come out of very difficult situations or gone into difficult situations over the last few years. And so that's kind of my mission. So I will be doing it the long haul. So leaving from Salir to Caldish, busing it, public transport in Romania, a lot of planes, a lot of overnights, and writing a blog along the way to try and just get people to realize how we can help out these youngsters, even if they don't want the help, but just get them outside, activities, fresh air. That's it.
Well, thank you for the reminder. Well, the awareness there about the Erasmus program, which I think has benefited so many young people. Also, Outward Bound. Yes, Outward Bound, an amazing organization. Pam did an Outward Bound course a million years ago. Not heard of it for years. Me neither, actually. It's good to see it back on the agenda. And I think it's amazing. You're an incredible Renaissance woman with many talents. And that was one I wasn't aware of, that you would be capable of such a feat and going up and sleeping in the snow in the mountains and leading in this way. I know you're a youth leader, in the broadest sense. But I want to ask you, you're talking about raising awareness of mental health issues for teens, young people. As somebody, a lot of us here probably don't know that many teenagers. I guess when you're a foreigner and you live abroad as well, that might exacerbate the situation. You're not connected to an extended family anymore, and you might move in expat circles, people of a similar age. As somebody who works with teenagers, What generally speaking is their view of the world? Because we moan about it like old farts here. Oh, it ain't what it used to be, and nostalgia isn't what it used to be. And we had a very frank conversation yesterday about the state of the world and where we might be headed. How do young people feel about it all, from your sense of talking with them?
I think it's pretty sad, actually. I mean, a lot of young people, youngsters coming out of COVID already has kind of, if there was any anxiety in those youngsters before COVID, it was accelerated. And I think that they obviously are very connected to what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
And
right.
a lot of them feel like there's kind of no hope.
Seriously.
And so when you have their first drama, the first love drama or whatever, sometimes it's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And there's also many other reasons, but I do think that as adults, we've all been teens. That's what I don't understand. A lot of my friends always tell me, like, you're a nutcase. Why are you doing this? I don't have any kids. My partner's kids are all grown up and healthy and fine. I mean, a few of them had big dramas, of course, but nothing like that. But when you know how many teens have suffered from suicidal thoughts, or, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, a young 16-year-old committed suicide in Lydia. And that for me really sparked me, because I thought, well, what the hell? Maybe if I had that kid for a while in one of our programs, we could have brought some positive energy.
Yeah.
Save that. And so I think it's pretty tough. And we've had last year, we don't publicize it because it's not something that needs to be marketed or publicized. It's something very personal. We had some individuals from one individual from the UK who's actually a family friend's granddaughter, who was hospitalized 10 months before, tried to commit suicide, and we managed to kind of trick her to come over. We told her we gave her a job, so the grandfather was paying, and she came and assisted our leadership program,
Yeah.
our youth program last summer, and she was incredible, and it changed her life. And she went back, and she's doing well, and she's supported. Of course, she has a lot of support, but she was so young. She's 19 years old, and her arms are slacked from her hands to her shoulder, having self-mutilated herself basically.
Oh, dear.
But we were able to help. And so yeah, I've been involved in these kind of youth programs for a long time, but I do think that something like Outward Bound and stuff, we need to bring it to Portugal as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of expat kids here. There's a lot of teens, and sometimes I think we kind of forget them, or as adults we walk by them in the street, we go, bloody teens. Yeah, no guys, we were all teens. And I really believe in sport and the outdoors, or some kind of passion music for youngsters. And I know when my parents got divorced, I was 13 or 14, and it was when I think about it today, I think my poor parents, and I was a pretty good kid, but my passion for horses, animals, sports, being so competitive and all that, it kept me aligned. So I never had a chance really to get flipped over to the other side, which I could have. So my best friend with bipolar is schizophrenic. That was through high school. We went to private schools, super educated, everything. So this is a subject that's very, very, very important to me, and I don't want, we're not marketing it. I'm doing it as a blog, and I hope to all I want to do is raise awareness. I don't care about money, but just that all of us start realizing that the teens don't have it so easy, and expat teens are really having a hard time, because a lot of them are moving here when they're in their teens and they're kind of lost.
That's an interesting consideration as well. That's a particular angle, isn't it, for us here? Sorry, someone's trying to ring me up at the moment, so I'm just putting the phone down there. This is an extremely important subject, and I'm so glad you're addressing it in this way. And it's very sobering the way you've put it as well. I mean, it's terrifying, and it's one thing, isn't it, for people who are aging and getting older to be pontificating about life. But for those with their lives ahead of them, as it were, this is a pretty devastating news you deliver. And I think that's one of many solutions. If we put our minds to it, we could be a whole lot more thoughtful and helpful, could we not?
I think so. Like, I mean, we're the first to always say, like, oh, get off your phones, get off your screens, get off. But we're all, as adults, we're all on the screens probably as much as them or more.
Yeah.
But sometimes, just having a little listening up. I'm really happy is that over the last 3 years, we've had pretty much the same group of kids that are with us all the time, and they've become like family, and the Quinta is family for them. We have a huge camp in April, kids from Lisbon, kids from all over. I think it's one of the biggest camps we'll have, actually, is in April. And we have a Saturday morning fitness where the kids come meet with us, and every Saturday morning for an hour and a half, we go hiking, we go trail running, we play basketball, whatever. And that's my joy, is to see that, you know what, not all these kids will have problems or had problems or will have problems. Some of them do, but at least there's that positive moment. And I'm their friend before anything else. I'm not a boss. I'm not a coach. I'm their friend. And so, yeah, that's my little part. So this is 2 weeks of putting myself. I often force the kids, as you know, even with your kids, Carl, I often put the kids out of their comfort zone, and it takes time to feel comfortable, and it's not easy for them. And this time I'm being put to the test. And and I know I'm going out of my comfort zone. I'm actually deep down inside, I'm a big chicken. So everyone thinks I'm really brave. I'm actually not. I've never been very brave. I just always try and challenge myself because, yeah, and this is my little part for the world. So hopefully it'll be fun, and I'll be able to, I will have a blog going on our website, so you guys can follow it.
I'd love to, yeah.
And obviously, they've warned me that I probably won't have time to talk because it's very, very intense. But I will try and blog my whole trip, and hopefully, you know, if I could, I don't know, change one kid's life with this thing in the future, then that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Well,
avoid one disaster. Thank you.
Yeah, right. And that's all it takes, isn't it? Really, is the connection that you're speaking of. I don't think it is. I mean, not to undermine or diminish what you're saying. It's not rocket science, is it? It's just a matter of making an effort and making the connection, right? That's what's needed. It seems to me.
Yeah, I agree. So it should be fun. So that's what I'm up to. And yes, I'll have printing and Quinta plastered all over my back, and lots of. So Salir de Porto will be traveling to Romania.
Excellent.
So that's fun.
Well, we will, when we see you next time, presumably you'll have some photos, which will be great. Great respect for you from Algarve, Laura there, and some comments coming in. I've met a lot of teenagers here through ReFood, and when Tony did tutoring, says Pam, I generally find Portuguese teenagers well adjusted. I'd agree with that, and still, they also need love and attention and care from what we've been hearing from.
Carl, I think that's a really interesting comment, and I do agree that I think Portuguese teenagers have a certain way that they're actually, I think they have a great life, and I will say that most of the kids that we've had that are suffering are actually not Portuguese. Also Portugal, you know, I think the fact that they have a lot of scouts and things like that, the kids are very well adjusted, the teens are very mature, but I guess, you know, you have to look beyond that. We're not just talking about, I mean, we're dealing with international kids. We're dealing with kids from all over the world. We're not dealing just with one or the other. And there's a lot of kids today that feel very isolated or don't relate to other teens, or socially are a little bit off, or are slightly on the spectrum and all that. And so these are all the people I'm trying to help, is those that are a bit shy and reserved and have their issues. So
you're doing amazing.
I'm a very positive person, as you know, Carl, but I think it's important that we address this issue.
Yeah, no, agreed. The suicide and mental health issues rate is frightening, says Pam. Young people need to have skills for coping with life. Great work you're doing, Siobhan. Do you have any volunteering opportunities? It's great when different generations spend time together. I've seen that in action at the Quinta there. Tell us more about how that could work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're lucky, you know, even last summer we had some volunteers that helped us. For instance, when we do overnight camps, they're helping us cook. They're helping us do all kinds of stuff. We had our granny camp, Granny Margarita, that would come every afternoon to give us all a little bit of a break, spend an hour, you know, socializing with the kids and stuff, and just entertaining them. Yeah, definitely. There's always volunteer opportunities. It's not something every day, but we have all kinds of things. As you know, we try and, you know, with our beach cleans, for instance, we're always looking for people. And, you know, when we do beach cleans, it's for everybody, and we try and mix everybody together. And that's really our purpose, is that, you know, joining people together at the Quinta is important, no matter what your nationality is, your age is, it doesn't matter. Everyone's together. You know, we have, so yeah, my special needs cousins volunteers at the farm. Like, we have everybody. So obviously in the winter we have a lot less opportunities because it's the weather's not necessarily suitable for it. But as we go into the spring and the summer, yes, we have lots of opportunities. And if it's not with us, it'll be with another association or somebody else that needs your help.
We'll come back to your diary for the rest of the year and how people can get involved, because it's important to share that. Here, it's Salir de Porto on the Silver Coast, on the other side of the bay from San Martinho de Porto, of course. I see Portuguese parents and grandparents showing affection to children and teenagers in public, and the kids are comfortable with this. It's lovely and very different. And I love the sport facilities as well. Pam is saying available for kids here, much better than where I'm from. That'll be in the UK. What a beautiful segment, says Jackie. Carl, thank you, Laura. And thank you. I think that's to you, as that's mainly there, Siobhan. So thank you for inspiring us and sharing that message. What you do has long-lasting benefits. So this is for you, Siobhan, I'm sure. I'm autistic, and if someone like you hadn't helped me when I found life tough as a teen, I would not be strong and independent now. That's amazing. God bless you, Siobhan. I'm just substituting the name there because I think we've got that mixed up with Laura, who's down in the Algarve. But that's for you, I'm sure. What an amazing thing to share with us there, Jackie. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. So getting involved, you'll be back and you'll be taking a little, well, you probably won't be taking a breather once you're back from your outward bound experience.
No, I come back. Yeah, we'll come back on the 16th. And then on the weekend of the 23rd, 24th, we have our spring festival. So please, everybody come out, come meet us, come participate. There's a lot of local craftspeople that will be selling things, and we're also doing networking. So anyone with local businesses, if you want to come out and network, that's your chance. Of course, Carl will be there, I think. Well, if you're not too busy.
Nicely done.
Yeah, there'll be music and food, and yeah, it should be fun. So I'm looking forward to coming home as well. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. And for the rest of the summer, beach cleans, you say, and will there be a summer camp this year?
So actually, the news is there won't be summer camp this year at the Quinta. We're taking the teens out, so we're hoping to send some of the teens or taking them out to Outward Bound. We'll be doing a bicycle trip in the Algarve and the Alentejo this year.
Really?
Yeah. We're going out. We're expedition, so there won't be any children's sleepover camp at the Quinta this summer.
Okay.
Because we would join forces with other associations, and my goal is we will be focusing more and more. I know some parents are disappointed, but on the teens, because that's really the passion, and I feel that it's time to explore. And by taking the kids out and doing more outside of, as we say, getting them outside of their own homes and adventuring, hopefully will help produce more open-minded travelers in the future, and that's our goal. So that's what we'll be doing this summer. But the schedule, if you keep looking, the schedule will be changing. We're organizing and we're trying to get everything going. And hopefully this summer, Carl, I can enjoy a festival or two myself because I'll have more time.
Good for you. And here we go. Here's the website, and it is Quinta Salir.com, and over there we can see the Christmas fair, the Festival Primavera, that Siobhan just mentioned there. That's the 23rd and 24th of March from midday till 6 in the evening. And of course, there the final episode, April 5th to 7th, the Teen Tribe Weekend, the Leadership Revolution. And that's your aspiration there is to support young people to become the leaders of the future, leading themselves into the future and leading others, presumably.
Yeah, that's basically it. But it's a big confidence boost for most of them. And to be honest with you, they kind of take over. It's a weekend where they take over and they have fun, and everything's done outside. So, and most of the kids, we have a few new kids this time, but most of them have been before, and it's incredible. It's fresh air, a big ball of fresh air. They sing outside, they dance outside. We do sports, we exhaust them, we feed them really well, nice healthy food, and they stay a few days and off they go back to their a bit tired, but with nice positive memories, and they continue their little adventure for the year.
Tell me about the food thing. So you grow food up at the Quinta, don't you? Which I guess the kids have a hand in doing when they're there from time. Obviously, you can't grow food in a day, but they can be part of the process of growing the food. They're harvesting and cooking it. Does that go down well, the fresh food from the garden?
So I'll be honest with you, there's very few, only in the summertime and September do we have a lot of things that grow, but we're not in an easy spot to grow. So we do have a greenhouse. So they do participate sometimes, but most of our food, we buy it at the local markets with the local producers, because otherwise we don't have enough. And I don't know if you know, but we ideally would feed the kids like beautiful fresh salads. But if we do that, they don't eat for 2 days. So
burgers, barbecue, right?
So we do, but we also have a food trailer. So sometimes the kids, they cook as well. So we all cook together, and we don't normally give them a choice, but we try and make meals that we know, our goal is to keep them going for 2 days. So we feed them what we know will motivate them as healthy as possible. So we cook everything, but it is a lot of pasta and food that teenagers will eat, and then we send them
fair
home.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you're doing amazing work, and cooking food, whatever it is, I think is a great part of that. Make him self-sufficient. And this is a lovely thought from Pam. Ironically, comfort zones are dangerous places. What a brilliant way to look at getting stuck in a rut there, which is not what Siobhan's going to be doing, going off on an outward bound expedition. Good luck, Bossort, with that, Siobhan. It's always great fun and inspiring talking to you. So have a lovely quiet day. I guess you're in a sort of it's the quiet before the storm, is it, of your trip at the moment?
Well, it is, and it's actually because I'm such a, I'm so connected to my animals and my home that I'm actually a bit of a whiner. So I tell my partner, like, I'm not sure why I'm going. Maybe I shouldn't go. So I always make excuses, and I kind of missed my dogs already, and I'm really a very, very, very homey kind of sensitive person. So yeah, this is a challenge. I know I have to go. I'm going, and I'll probably love it when I'm there. But pre-organization is always a little bit like scary for me.
Yeah, and that's a lovely admission, because I think when us mere mortals look at people like you who are thrusting about in the outdoors, doing all these exciting things, we don't imagine for 1 minute that you might have any reservations or not be completely confident about doing what you're doing. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. No, I called my mom yesterday and asked her to coach me, and she just basically told me off, saying, "Why do you commit to things like that if you're not ready to go?" And I'm like, "Ma, no, you need to motivate me." So then she felt a bit bad, and she motivated me after. But yeah, I am a bit of a, I don't like to use the word, but I am a bit of a wimp. And if you follow my blog, you'll realize. But
okay.
Yeah,
Well, all the best to you, and we look forward to speaking to you again in a month's time. All the best with that, and of course, we will be sharing in that shenanigans throughout the summer. I'm sure across the bay, as Bay neighbours.
Thanks to everybody, and we'll be in touch.
All right, boa viagem, professor. Ciao, ciao.
Boa viagem, obrigada.
There she goes, Siobhan. How amazing. And Savvy Cat Ana Caramujo joining us in just a moment. She'll be able to answer this question, I think. Bon dia, Malta, back from another fab walk. I have shared the earlier messages that you sent with me by Randy. I'm not sure if you've got anything for us this weekend, but I am urging everybody to go. Actually, we'll have a little look at that ourselves before we welcome Anna onto the screen. Over at goodmorningportugal.com, you can find the Gumper map, and I'll show you how to do that now. This is where Andy adds all those events, and other people are welcome to do so too. All the W's, goodmorningportugal.com. I wonder if I click on the various links, whether we go through to other parts of the website. Let's find out for ourselves. So there's loads there if you haven't been there for a little while. I can't even remember. There's so much there. I can't remember. Oh, events and map. That's where the Gumper map can be found. Let me see if that's changed for you on the screen. Yes, it has. Fantastic. This is the amazing work that by Randy is doing, that Sarah started for us with the technology. Our Gumper map I present to you, and you can zoom in and find events. A lot of them are because Andy is very good at updating his own particular area where he lives. We'd love other people to take an interest in their, especially, you know what, especially the people who say, "Oh, you can never find out what's going on in Portugal." Well, that might be you who has to do it. And for example, populate the map for us in the south there, the points of interest, things that are perennials, as well as things that are coming up, the sort of stuff that Andy shares with us for the coming weekend. So get onto the Gumper map. I will put the link in the chat for you to do so. That's over on our website, all the W's, goodmorningportugal.com. Yeah, and Andy's question is, which I'm sure Anna will be able to help with here. After having a lovely walk, he's back and downsizing at his Quinta. It's all about the Quintas this morning. Thinking of selling. What platform did you Gumpers find your slice of Portuguese heaven? There's a thing that Anna can help us with this morning when she joins us after this nice big round of applause. Hola, bon dia, alegria.
Bon dia, Carl. How have you been this month?
I've been pretty well, I got to say. I tripped over yesterday, but nothing too big. It was just a bit of a shock. I was out walking my dogs and fell over yesterday. Having talked about balance all week with Coach Tenner. But apart from that, I am absolutely fine on this Feel Good Friday. Lovely to see you. Lovely to catch up with you. How are you? Because you've had a busy month.
Yes, I'm good. I'm recovering. And yeah, things are slow. I'm one of those persons that always likes to get things done. So when I made stop, I'm like, first I was like, whoa, it's really nice to stop. And now I'm like, I'm just done with this. I wanted to get back to doing
Get
things.
back to work. Right, we've got a slight issue with your sound here. You're sounding like a robot of some sort. The way it's
Oh.
coming through. Hopefully that will settle down, and we might need you to go back off and then come back on again afterwards. But I'm glad to hear you're healing well. You look very well. You're looking vital. So glad to hear that. How I mean, I guess you've had time to look at what's going on in the world of real estate and property here in Portugal and the markets. What's your view of that as we catch up with you on the 1st of March?
Can you hear me better now?
No, it's still crackly. So I would suggest maybe you jump off and jump back on again, if that's all right, and we'll see if that improves things.
I think because I'm trying to change the audio source.
Yeah, if you go through a different microphone, that might help. Yeah, if you've got a choice of microphones.
I did, but only one is showing up, so there's
That's
that.
good. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's quite distracting. Look at that. Jackie's happy to see you. Bon dia, Savvy Ana. Always fab to hear your fantastic advice. Great to see you looking so well. I would agree with that. And I set up my Alcabasta International group because I couldn't see what was going on around here. So I found it and I share it. Sorry, no time to share it all twice, but we're on Facebook if anyone interested. Give us the link for that, if you will, Pam. And you do a great job with that. How's that sounding now, Anna?
How is it now?
It's great. I can hear you more clearly, and I can hear myself in echo. But what I can do is I can ask you long questions, and you can give me long answers.
Because that's not happening on my end.
I think we can hear me coming through your speaker.
What about now?
Hello, Mary had a little lamb. Perfect. How about that? Excellent stuff. Right, there we go. Well done. Being your own producer as well as being our guest of honor for this next half hour. Yeah, just checking in with you about the property scene. Well, let's look at the big picture. You help people move to Portugal. This is quite a dynamic sector at the moment. How's that looking for you at Savvy Cat Realty?
Well, I think at the moment there's a lot of people that are just like seeing what's going to happen with the whole government situation and so on. But honestly, the thing in Portugal is that for better or worse, people tend not to change a lot. People in Portugal don't particularly like change, and even when we have drastic change of government, usually only small things change. So usually change in Portugal comes at a very slow pace.
Yeah.
So it ends up not affecting as drastically the daily living of people. It's not like suddenly we were going to be in a dictatorship. That's very unlikely. So it's mostly going to affect specific sectors. And some things did drastic measures to correct, like the whole SAP situation, that it's just silly. But I don't think that's going to be corrected quickly, unfortunately, because nothing happened quickly in Portugal. So,
you know, it strikes me it's like the Portuguese political paradox. People, I mean, this always happens at election time, which is the general elections happening. In case you missed it or don't know what's going on here, it's the 10th of March, which is next Sunday, and people at this time of political speculation tend to be lobbying, or the politicians use the word change a lot, don't they? The electorate says, yeah, we want change. When do we want it? Well, next Sunday, hopefully, and thereafter. And it seems to me, and it's a good thing in a way, that not much change. I mean, there are things we want to change, but the drasticness of change, serious changes that you were talking about, things that would be threatening to society, are very difficult to bring about within the system that we have, which is great to stop extreme events happening in politics, but it also stymies and suffocates smaller changes as well. And in some ways, that seems like the best way round, the best price to pay is that things aren't moving drastically, dynamically, and disastrously. They are just, it's like we're keeping the politicians busy so they can't get into too much trouble. Maybe the changes
maybe make an effort though.
What, they try and mess things up, but they confound themselves and each other.
Yes, and the thing about changing political parties is that the opposing political parties tend to like to undo the things that the other ones did, for
Yeah.
better or worse, and sometimes they also undo the good things, which can be quite annoying. But let's see. But like I was saying, generally these are with things that tend to not drastically affect the daily life of people.
Yeah.
However, we are definitely having a habitation crisis that needs to be addressed, and some things are being addressed, like we discussed on the last session last month. Um, so let's see. The change is going probably to be slow, but hopefully things will start to slowly improve. I think one of the things that really needs to start happening, that's been on the agenda for a while but never really moves forward, is the whole um, public affordable housing. Like, there are a bunch of projects.
Oh, well, we had a few sound issues to begin with, and now we've lost Savvy Cat Ana altogether here. So we'll hang. Oh, okay, she's back now.
I wasn't logged off. It was just, for some reason, my camera
you know,
and my microphone turned off.
And here I had a little flicker of the electricity. So we're up against it in some ways, but you're back now. So do carry on.
Yeah, so I was saying that one of the big projects that I think would be very useful was the whole public affordable housing.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of projects on the pipe on that, and they just seem to never move forward. And I honestly don't know why, because they are really needed.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And do you, I mean, given what you said, you don't. It doesn't sound like the change of government or the result of the general election. You don't hold out much hope or feel very positive about things happening after the election either.
Let's see. People are getting saturated. I
Yes.
think that the politicians will be forced to do something. Now, the question is, what will they be doing, and whether or not they will have a positive impact.
Yeah. Okay. So wait and see on that. I'm all for people power, and if the government aren't going to do any of these things, and I realise, that at state level, at country level, certain things have to happen at the level that can't happen at grassroots level, which I think Portugal is pretty good on. Grassroots level, local politics seems pretty strong to me, and people get engaged. But yes, of course, there are certain things that can only be done on a national level. So let's wait and see on that. The thing about Portugal, of course, is it sits within the EU's general political machinery, and of course the geopolitics of the whole world. And that perhaps, Anna, is the more important issue, or certainly equally important, that what goes on in America, for example, will be very
Yeah, I would
influential.
say that the European Union does apply positive pressure towards important change. And sometimes Portugal is resistant to that, and some of the systems don't work too well. Like, for example, we are paying a fine for not complying with the corruption measurements from the European Union. And that's been the case for like 3 or 4 years, but it seems that it's more profitable to pay the fine than to solve the problem for the people in power. Same thing for the highways, the scoots, that thing that you go
Yeah.
by, charges you like €1, 50 cents, that sort of thing. They are illegal too, and we are also paying a fine to the European Union on that for years now. And once again, it's more profitable to pay the fine than to solve the problem, because they get more money from the scoots than they pay on the fine.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's like an individual breaking the speed limit every morning and paying a fine for that, but they're happy to do so because they get to work quicker. Bizarre, but there you go. That's what's been going on for a little while here. So I think if we park up the political for a moment, because we just have to wait and see what happens now and the results. How quickly in Portugal do people know what's going to happen after the election? Generally speaking, Anna.
It's usually a few hours. You usually get the results like later on the same day, and then the fancy announcements on the next day.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. So a week on Monday, we'll have a look at that. I'm always surprised how disinterested actually many Portuguese people seem to be about these things.
I think most of us are just frustrated exactly because nothing ever seems to happen.
Yep. Okay. Well, we'll bear that in mind, and we've also curbed our own enthusiasm over the years with this as well. When the Prime Minister resigned, I set up a special live stream to give our community a moment by moment, blow by blow account of what was going on. And nothing happened. And several Portuguese friends didn't even hear about it. And when I said, "Isn't this exciting? You know what's going on with the government?" And it's like, "Oh no, not really. It always happens. This sort of thing." So I have learned to change my level of interest and excitement when it comes to Portuguese politics. Now, moving on to the people who are moving here, the people you help, and the bigger picture, of course, and what will happen with the American election. I think that will prompt more people to come to Portugal. Are you getting a sense of that at the moment?
Actually, I was just talking about that 2 days ago with one of my American clients. And yeah, people are worried. He said that his wife wants to stay there for 3 more years, but he already told her that if Trump wins, he's out.
Right.
And I think that's the case for a lot of people. And I also work a lot with minority communities like LGBTQ and so on. And for those people, unlike in Portugal, those changes can be very worrying and very drastic. You know, there are sometimes, I think, during the last Trump presidency, those communities were particularly uh, mistreated and even violated in a violence way. So there's a lot of people that are very worried about that, and uh, they should be because it's happened in the past, and the violence towards minorities is not a great thing at all. Uh, so if that happens, I guess it will be very good for my business, but it will not be very good for the world.
No, right. Okay. So you are helping people who are fearing for their lives in a sense and choosing Portugal as a safe place to come to. For people who are
Yes,
not
that's
familiar with you,
definitely one of the big factors, the safety.
yeah, yeah. And so people who aren't familiar with what you do, how do you help people make that move? Let's say they are inspired in that way, or they're terrified in that way and they want to come to Portugal. How does your process work for people?
So usually the first thing is that we have a conversation to understand if our interests are aligned and if their expectations are reasonable, because some people have kind of misguided ideas about Portugal, and it's important to clear things up on a first call. So we always have a first call with customers. This call can be booked directly with me, and if that's the case, it is paid. But we also have a clarification call that is free. That is usually with my operation manager or marketing manager, where we clarify how things work and generally understand whether or not people have realistic expectations and guide them in the right direction. Then, of course, one of the important things for us is understanding the lifestyle and the desires. What these people want to change? What are these people wanting to achieve by coming to Portugal? So we can try and best advise them on how to make that happen. And different people have very different needs. You know, there's people who want to be living in a city with lots of young people around, lots of restaurants, lots of life, and there's people who want to be quiet in a countryside with no neighbors.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
these are very different needs, and they are both perfectly valid, and it's our job to understand these needs and help uh, placing people in the right place for them. And sometimes people also have kind of misguided ideas about cities. Like, for example, most of the people, they tend to go for Lisbon because it's the capital,
Mhm.
but Portugal has so much more to offer. So one of the things we do is just according to their lifestyle and needs, we will show them other locations of the country that we think will be a good fit for them. But in the end, it's always the client's decision to decide where they want to get. And the same thing when we get to property research. So when it comes to property research, we will help the clients. We will search our own system. So we have an agents only system that accesses the whole market, and we are able to get some inside information through there. So we are able to send suggestions to the clients, but it works both ways. So the clients can also send us things that they think are aligned with their interests, and in this way we learned about their tastes and they learn about the market state and availability. And then at some point we meet in the middle and we find something that the client wants to put an offer in, and we help them with everything. So we will make the contacts, the negotiations, and then when we reach that stage, we will schedule for an inspection by an engineer and also review all the legal documentation. So I work with lawyers. That is always the documentation is always reviewed by actual lawyers. And if everything is aligned on both ends, then the next stage is, of course, the CPCV, and only after that, the deed. And we also support our clients with renovations or construction. So if they want to make renovations in the property they are getting, we will get them multiple budgets, and then we will also oversee the renovations, like go there every 2-3 weeks depending on the type of work, just to seeing if things are proceeding as they should, and to keep on top of the builders. And the same thing for the building contracts. So we will review the building contracts to try and make them fair for both sides. And when it comes to construction projects, it is a much more complex process because it involves licensing. So for those, we only do construction projects from our second package on, so the Wonder package or the Investor package. We don't do construction projects for the Decided package. That's our lowest package. But first thing you need to know is that it's going to take a while. So if you are going to do a licensing, count on at least 2 years minimum if things go well. So that's also the time that we will be working with you and making things happen. And we also go to the town hall meetings and coordinate with the lawyers and so on, pretty much act as project management.
Very good. Excellent. Good to go through that process. And a couple of things I want to pick up on there. The first of which I think is great, is, and you can find out more at savvycatrealty.com there, the link that I've put on the screen, is I think you said something along the lines of, we make sure Portugal is the right fit for the person. Because let's face it, there is a feeding frenzy going on at the moment, and there are less scrupulous people than yourself who just say, yeah, fine, move to Portugal, just pay us this money and we'll help you move across. It's quite important to you, it sounds, to make sure that people are making the right move and not going to be entering into a whole lot of
they know what they are getting into, because sometimes we get clients that have completely misguided ideas that can buy a great house for like 100K. Well, maybe you can, but it will be very much on the interior, on the village. It will not be in Lisbon.
Those days are over. Okay, yeah, absolutely. All right. So you disabuse people of any of those sort of notions and take them through that process to make sure they're making absolutely the right move, which is fantastic. Frank Nibley's in. Any insights to share about the overall real estate market in Portugal, growth projections, other trends? Obrigado. Before we go there, Ana, Savvy Cat Ana, we're talking about this dynamic of, of course, those 100,000 bargains are not available in Lisbon anymore. Haven't been for what, 5 or 10 years now.
More.
What is cooking? I mean, you're the person to answer that question, aren't you? Not pushing people, but like making people aware of other areas of Portugal. What's coming up on the radar? We're talking much more about this now on the Good Morning Portugal show, is areas other than Lisbon, Porto, and the usual suspects. What else is coming up for people?
Once again, I think this is very much about the personal, needs and lifestyle of each person. So It's very different to those two people I described earlier, what they want. So if you want to live in a city, so there are some interesting medium cities that you can look at that are way more affordable than Lisbon, like for example Braga or Aveiro or Castelo Branco, or there's probably more, but that's what my brain is remembering right now. And then if you want to if you are open to living in the countryside, or even looking to live in the countryside in the Quinta or so on, then you have honestly a much wider range of choice, because there is a lot of countryside in Portugal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Caldas da Rainha for cities, that's also one. But the it depends also on the type of landscape, on or how far you want to be for the city. Like the cheapest locations will be the interior ones, because that's where the least people want to be, and there tends to be less transport and less accesses, so it takes you longer to get to places.
Yeah.
And it's also tends to be, the cities tend to be less developed, in a way that you have less offer when it comes to health and restaurants and all of that. So you will always be limited in that sense, but then again, you will also have a much more attractive pricing. So in interior locations, you will have, and that can happen both to the north, let's say the yeah, I can't remember. My brain isn't working to remember names of cities, but generally, the whole interior section can be quite the cheapest locations in Portugal.
So yeah, you might be talking about Ponte Lima, Viana do Castelo, for example, or further
That's
in.
not interior though. That
Familiar.
is coastal,
Yeah.
and although it's definitely way cheaper than let's say Lisbon or Porto, uh, it's popular, and the prices are rising on those locations, although they still have room to rise more.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Well,
Pontolim is actually a whole phenomena, because it was overtaken by Airbnbs, and property got very expensive because it's a very scenic location.
yeah, absolutely beautiful. And we know we have friends in our community here. João de Norte, of course, from Ponte Lima, who was part of that. Yeah, I guess from our point of view, getting Ponte Lima on the map, along with Bob and Viv as well, and the work that Vitor Costa's doing up there. Pam's saying Leiria and Coimbra, also good-sized cities with a lot going on. And you mentioned Caldas de Rainha. I live near Caldas and met a couple of your clients yesterday, coincidentally, who are very happy with the work that you did for them
I'm glad.
in Caldas. Definitely something going on in Caldas. So let's go back to Frank Nibley's question here. And I don't know, I hear this in the news, Anna, about these ratings agencies, that it just sounds like, it's either going to be the kiss of death or green light for go in countries. But for what it's worth, Portugal's ratings set for straight A's after 13 years. All major ratings agencies expected to agree on critical upgrade. After 13 years, Portugal should once again be treated as A level by the financial rating agencies. Analysts are expecting Standard & Poor's rating increase as early as tomorrow, and this was published on the 29th. Standard & Poor's, the S&P, is scheduled to assess Portugal's sovereign debt on Friday after maintaining, that's today, the country's rating at BBB plus in its last assessment in September last year, but upgrading the outlook from stable to positive. Would you concur, in line with Frank's questions here? Are we looking into a positive view in the crystal ball? I know it's a crystal ball, but are you feeling good about the real estate market in Portugal? Or is it going in the direction of all those gloom and doom clickbaiters who say a boom and bust is coming here in Portugal?
Yeah, like you were saying, that is very much crystal ball work. But honestly, I never really liked that whole rating things. They are all over the place, and like a few years ago, they were all doomed for Portugal, and now suddenly everything is great. So I generally don't particularly understand where they come from.
Yeah.
But right now, Portugal has a big problem, and that big problem is the internal economy. It is absolutely amazing to live in Portugal as a foreigner with a foreigner income, where you have an amazing quality of life. But if you come to Portugal looking for a job, it will be very hard to have a good quality of life because salaries suck.
Yep.
And our internal economy is in no way keeping up with the international economy. So there is a huge disparity on that. And it's not an easy problem to solve. And I don't believe that the government approach to solving this problem has been the best. So if these measurements keep the way they are, I think that disparity is only going to grow. However, from an international perspective, Portugal is an amazing country, and the international interest is not exactly decreasing. So I think that pretty much what will dictate the current real estate market will be mostly the international buyers, because the internal economy is fairly limited. And of course, there are Portuguese people that are well off, but I think it was in January or something, I was seeing an article saying that 48% of the Portuguese population is on the poverty line.
Yeah, it's a
So
disgrace. I mean, it's a horrible situation for sure. And you make a good point. You know, for the foreigners, it's great, and the number of foreign residents in Portugal doubles. We're seeing in a Portugal news article here, there are as many as 800,000 foreign residents living in Portugal, almost twice as many as 10 years ago. They're not all wealthy, of course, according to data from the Francisco Manuel dos Santos Foundation, addressing the number of foreign residents. The former Prime Minister and former PSD leader Pedro Passos Coelho participated in a rally accusing the PS of having increased insecurity in the country, which he associates with immigration, which is a little bit of a worrying news story from an ex-PM there. And you make a very good point. It is good for us. The relative cost of living is good. And I don't think there are many expats, foreigners, immigrants who would not want to see Portuguese people getting a slice of the cake, as difficult as it sounds like to deliver.
This is a complex situation, because for right now, I would say that the Portuguese economy is highly dependent on these expats, especially the wealthy ones, that bring in more economic prosperity, because internally, the economy would be a lot more stagnated if it wasn't for their contribution. Like, there are a lot of businesses and there is a lot of money circulating because of these people, and also lots of the renovations and the new businesses that pop up in towns are because of this.
Yep.
So I think that the solution would pass from improving the internal economy of Portugal and taxation and so on, because I think Portugal has not a great mindset when it comes to economic, because we have very high taxes, both for citizens and especially for companies. Our taxes on companies are horrible. And Portugal doesn't at all incentivize the circulation of money, and that's what makes the economy flow.
Right.
So if you take, like, let's say as a company, let's say that basically the government takes minimum 40% of what my employees make. So let's say I pay them 1,000, the government is going to get, it's actually not 400, it tends to be more like 600. So
I mean, that's just horrible, isn't it? I mean, we've talked about this before, Anna, haven't we? The challenge of running a business
and
here.
then I started thinking, like, if half of that money went into the people and made the economy circulate, they probably would be making more money in, like, VAT tax.
Yeah.
So I genuinely don't understand the economical policies in Portugal. That just tend to be terrible, and I think that would be one of the important things to change. And it's also a mindset thing, the whole Portuguese people stay in a cafe for 4 hours and just get one espresso, like, and then they are very surprised that the cafe closes. Like, you don't say, right?
Drink more coffee, drink more wine, Portuguese people. We're at 10 o'clock now. I mean, you make some very good points there. And I saw this in the hotel association, one of the hotel associations or tourism associations in the Algarve, were complaining about the same thing, to employ somebody and give them an extra, I think it was an extra 130 euros in their pay packet. The employee would only see 65 euros of that. And we do need a different solution with this, don't we, to get the economy spinning and to lift this kind of economic repression, basically, that's going on and make it easier to run businesses. But that's a whole other subject. You help people move to the country. We'll keep working on the solutions to the economy. In the meantime, there is a lovely cost of living, relatively speaking, to be enjoyed by foreigners. And Savvy Cat Realty are helping you to move here. Look at those 5-star reviews there over at savvycatrealty.com, and you can set up an appointment to talk to Anna and the team with representatives all over the country. That's one of your great strengths as a company, isn't it? You have local experts who know their respective parts of the country, right, Anna?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So have a great weekend. Bon semana to you and your team. This is a nice thought, inspired, I think, by what we were saying here and what you're sharing with us, Anna. Communities coming together, sharing resources, workload. Why does anyone go hungry when you can grow anything there? People have to come together, and this will happen everywhere. I guess if that doesn't happen at a governmental level, it's going to start to happen at societal grassroots level. That's like taxes over here for small businesses. I'm not sure where you are, Siobhan. Maybe the expats can support locals more. We're doing our best. I think that's a great idea, and we're all for that as a representative group of foreigners and expats and immigrants here of working with local people and supporting local business. That's in Boston, Massachusetts there. Okay. Anna, final word from you then.
Well, my brain is still recovering, So, yeah. Check out our website if you are thinking about coming to Portugal. We do try to do things in a sustainable way, both from a cultural perspective and an economical perspective. We actually are going to change our website. It's late. It's supposed to be in January, but like everything in Portugal, the developers are late, and so we are hoping that somewhere in the next weeks we will have the new website ready to go. So that's an exciting thing. And I do have a lot of plans for this year, but those are still not ready for public speaking.
Well, your voice has gone all funny again, which I'm sure is not part of your health recovery. It's some technological problem, but thank you for that. I think we got the gist of it. And I hope you'll come and give us a scoop here whenever you're launching a new service for people moving to Portugal, that we'll be the first to know about it here on the Good Morning Portugal show. So bon semana, all the best to you, and continued love and best wishes for your speedy recovery there, Anna. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
There she goes. Right. We can't go anywhere until we've had a look at those dad jokes and lies we tell our kids. We have the mindset they need, more education and love. Thank you, both of you. Very informative, says Siobhan, and great show. Thank you. Appreciate that, Squire of the Shires. Those dad jokes then. You matter. Unless you're moving at the speed of light, then you energy. Is the first one. Let me just cut and paste these over so that in case you need them, nothing worse, is there, than trying to share a joke with somebody and you can't quite remember it. I love cats, says T-Duck, or says this dad joke anyway that has been shared with us by T-Duck, but I can never finish a whole one. Oh, that's awkward, isn't it, as we go into the weekend. Cat lovers, it's only a joke. I love cats, but I can never finish a whole one by myself. And if there's a time and a place for everything, I'll probably be late and lost. Very good, T-Duck. And lies we tell our kids. We did a couple of these, and we haven't found out whether it is legal or not to have a light on in the car when you're going along. As we've told our kids, we can get arrested if the light is on inside the car. And the one we shared earlier, the microwave will explode if you put your face too close. And did that chef really have his kidneys microwaved? And it was locked because Mummy was helping Daddy to hang a picture behind the door. Who's used that one here? Have a great weekend. On that note, let's go put the sex into sexta affair, everybody, and have a great weekend. And we'll see you on Monday for some mindful migration with James. And of course, on Monday evening for the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, where we'll be trying something with a funny name. Let's have a look. What did it say? Interesting, unusual, or funny name from any region. Join us. It's a very informal setup at 8 o'clock on the first Monday of every month, and we'll have some fun sipping on a few fermentations with funny names from around Portugal. You take care, have fun, and bye for now. Ciao, ciao.